So let's talk about one of humanity's biggest and oldest questions, religion. But here's the twist. We're not going to get into whether it's true or not. Instead, we're asking a much more practical question. What's its function? Why is it even here? And what does it actually do for us? Let's dive in. I mean, think about it. This is the huge puzzle that sociologists have been trying to piece together for ages. From ancient tribes to massive modern nations, religion is just everywhere. It's almost a universal human thing. So what gives? There has to be a reason for its incredible staying power, right? This is exactly where functionalism comes into the picture. And that right there is the absolute core of the functionalist way of thinking. These sociologists completely changed the conversation. They said, hey, let's stop debating beliefs for a second. Instead, they looked at religion just like any other piece of society, like the government or the family, and they asked a really simple, powerful question. What's its job? How does it help keep the whole system running? Okay, so our first stop is with an anthropologist named Bronislaw Malinowski. His big idea zeroes in on the individual. He saw religion as a kind of psychological shield, something that protects each one of us from the anxieties and stresses of life. For Malinowski, it really all boils down to this. Religion is a coping mechanism. It's a tool that helps us deal with the fundamental stress that comes with being human. When we're facing things that are scary, unpredictable, and totally out of our hands, religion gives us a way to manage those intense feelings and get a sense of control back. And Malinowski noticed that this psychological shield, it becomes most important in two key kinds of situations. These are the moments in life where our stress and uncertainty are just off the charts. First up, you've got life's major crises. We're talking about huge events like birth, marriage, and especially something like death. These things can be incredibly disruptive and emotional. Malinowski said that religious rituals and beliefs pop up around these events to help people and the whole community get a handle on all that chaos. They provide comfort and a sense of order when everything feels like it's falling apart. And this is where his second point comes in, dealing with unpredictable events. And it's illustrated perfectly by his famous study of the Trobriand Islanders. Get this, when they fished in the calm, predictable, totally safe lagoons, they didn't do any rituals. It was just another day at the office. But when they had to go out into the dangerous, open ocean where anything could happen, that's when they performed these elaborate magic rituals. Now, the magic didn't actually change the ocean, of course, but it calmed their fears and gave them the confidence they needed to get the job done. So to wrap up Malinowski, it's pretty simple. His focus is squarely on the individual. He believes the main job of religion is to give us psychological comfort, and it's most crucial in those moments of crisis and uncertainty, the things we just can't control. All right, so now let's zoom out. We're going to shift our focus from the single person to the entire society with our next thinker, the famous Emil Durkheim. For him, religion wasn't a personal shield. No, it was the social glue that holds us all together. Durkheim's entire theory starts with this simple but really powerful idea. All religions, everywhere, divide the world into two separate categories. On one hand, you have the sacred. These are things that are set apart, special, maybe even forbidden, and they inspire a sense of awe. Think of things like totems, gods, or holy sites. And then there's the profane. That's just everything else. It's the ordinary, mundane, everyday stuff like your job, your tools, your daily meals. For Durkheim, this split is the absolute foundation of all religion. So you might be asking, how does this connect to society? Well, Durkheim argued that when people get together for rituals that are focused on these sacred objects, they're actually reinforcing their shared beliefs and values. This creates what he called the collective conscious. You could think of it as the shared moral compass of a society, the thing that everybody kind of agrees on without even saying it. It's what binds people together and creates a super powerful sense of belonging. And this leads us to Durkheim's most radical and maybe his most famous idea. He studied Aboriginal clans who worshipped a totem. Let's say it was a lizard. He argued that the lizard itself wasn't what was really important or powerful. No, the lizard was just a symbol for the clan itself. So when they all gathered together to worship this sacred lizard, what they were really doing, without even realizing it, was celebrating and strengthening their own social group. They were worshiping their own society. So the quick recap on Durkheim is this. Religion's main job is to create social unity or cohesion. It brings a bunch of individuals together and turns them into a single moral community. And it does this by getting them to worship shared symbols, which, when you get right down to it, are really just symbols of the society itself. Our final theorist, A.R. Radcliffe Brown, kind of picks up where Durkheim left off, but he adds his own unique spin. If Durkheim saw religion as the social glue, you could say Radcliffe Brown saw it more like the architectural blueprint that maintains a society's structure. See, Radcliffe Brown wasn't as concerned with where religion came from or how it made people feel. He was way more interested in its practical effect, keeping society stable and running smoothly over time. For him, religious rituals are all about reinforcing the social norms, the values, and the hierarchies that keep a society from just falling into chaos. Here's how he saw the process playing out. Step 1. Every society needs its members to share certain values, right? Otherwise, it's a mess. Step 2. Religious rituals act like a big public performance of those very values. Step 3. By doing these rituals over and over and over again, people's commitment to the group gets stronger and social solidarity gets a boost. And the final outcome? The existing social order is preserved. It's all about maintenance. All right, we've met our three thinkers. We've explored three different functionalist theories. But how do they really stack up against each other? Let's put them side by side so we can see the key differences at a single glance. So the biggest, most obvious difference here is the level of analysis. Malinowski is zoomed way in on the individual. For him, religion's key function is giving people psychological comfort and reducing anxiety. But Durkheim and Radcliffe Brown, they zoom way out to look at the whole society. For Durkheim, the goal is creating that feeling of unity, what he calls social cohesion. And for Radcliffe Brown, it's even more about the big picture. It's about maintaining the social structure and keeping order. Okay, that was a lot to take in. So let's boil it all down to the essential key takeaways. Here's the easiest way to remember them. For Malinowski, religion is a personal shield you use to protect yourself from fear and anxiety. For Durkheim, it's the social glue that sticks us all together into one community. And for Radcliffe Brown, it's the societal blueprint that makes sure everything stays stable and in its proper place. Shield, glue, blueprint. Simple as that. And that leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. If these guys are right, if religion is what provides psychological comfort, social unity, and structural order, then what happens when its influence starts to fade? In our modern, increasingly secular world, what, if anything, steps in to do those incredibly vital jobs? That's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.